Hello everyone, this is Kaizouwar here, and today I'm making yet another tier list about something. But this time it's going to be actually about Final Fantasy. I love Final Fantasy, I love the series to death, and I decided to get this whole tier list about, all the series, this whole series and its spin-offs. Now, I will admit that there's some games I haven't played on here, and I will admit that I haven't played every game to completion, because there are some Final Fantasy games on here that I haven't finished. So I made this tier list in a way it's like, okay, I made my all-time favorites, basically there. Enjoyed it because I enjoyed the game. Great, it's pretty much in the middle. There's so-so, which is kind of like my man option. I didn't want to call it man because I feel like that would sound more insulting. Also, I apologize if you hear like lawn mowing in the background. I am near an area where people want to mow their lawns at this moment in time. Whatever. Didn't like is I didn't like it. Haven't played is obviously I haven't played it, and I also put a final choice of can't remember. Now there are some games on here that I have played that I just cannot remember anything for the life of me. So just want to be straight up on that front, because there are some games I have played, yes, but I just can't remember much on them, and I don't want to put them like in some random choice that just didn't fit. So I put can't remember. So let's go. Let's start with Final Fantasy XII Revenant Wings. Now I will be the first to admit that I don't remember jack about Revenant Wings. I have played it. I don't own it anymore, sadly enough. And I don't remember much about Revenant Wings. I will admit that. I remember liking the game. I think. I cannot remember anything about it. I'm not going to lie. I cannot remember anything about Revenant Wings. Because every time someone talks about, oh man, you guys remember all these games that happened in Evilise? So like, oh yeah, there's Tactics and 12, and that's all I remember. I was like, oh, what about Revenant Wings? Like, Revenant Wings, what's that? Every time I was like, I owned the game at one point, I know that, but ugh. Okay, World of Final Fantasy. Now, I will admit that I haven't finished World of Final Fantasy yet, but I will say that I think the game is, it's pretty great. Not gonna lie. It's pretty great. Damn it, I can go in the list. Anyway, World of Final Fantasy is pretty great. It's a pretty great traditional idea of a Final Fantasy game that, it's like I can't call it the turn-based Dissidia, because that's like outside Opera Omnia, but it's more like, like all your Final Fantasy pals are chibi-fied, and you essentially go through certain areas that come from like the other Final Fantasy games. Not all of them. Hell, you get to fight Xenogears as a boss. Xenogears, like the unit Xenogears, not like the actual characters from Xenogears, although I would love for one of them to make a cameo. And there's some characters that I like in this game that made weird cameos, like Shulk from Dirge of Cerberus. I don't know why the hell she's here. Wait, that is the wrong game. I just noticed I put the wrong game in the goddamn I just noticed that. Okay, sorry. Anyway, but yeah, I really do like this game. Yeah, Shulk from Dirge of Cerberus is somehow in here. I don't know. I guess she was that popular to make it a World Final Fantasy. I think and I like the whole idea of the stacking mechanic too. I like you get the giants with letter J. You get the giant characters, and you get the little I forgot what the little stack characters are called, but you can stack enemies you catch, like Pokemon. You can stack them together to create your own like big unit, which I kind of like. It's an interesting idea because you have to plan out your battles and figure out what characters stack with which character. How does giant stack with the Lillikins? I think those are called. But yeah, it's a pretty fun game. I need to beat it someday though. I haven't finished it completely, but I need to beat it someday. I really do enjoy it. Plus, the music by Masashi Hamauzu is pretty great, because Masashi Hamauzu is always killing it. All right, Before Crisis Final Fantasy VII. Okay, look, I'm going to put in this because, how many people have actually played Before Crisis? You have to be like someone extremely dedicated, or even have like a phone from that era to even play Before Crisis. So, yeah. Okay, so there's a Final Fantasy Tactics game I just cannot read here. I'm going to zoom in a bit. Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. Okay, I haven't played Tactics Advance. Or have I? I think I have. But I can't remember. I'm going to put it right here. I think I have. I think I have played Tactics Advance. I just can't remember anything about it. No comment on that one. Dissidia Final Fantasy. Now, obviously they put both versions of Dissidia Final Fantasy. I would say the first Dissidia is great, and the second Dissidia is probably one of my all-time favorites. God damn it. Okay, now the page just wants to be stupid. Yeah, one of my all-time favorites. Now, I really love Dissidia 12. I love that game. Now, it just improves on so much, It gives you the 012 storyline and the 013 storyline too. Well, I think, technically, not the 013. The 013 was original Dissidia storyline. I mean, like this 000 once we get to fight the Confessions of the Creator. Damn, sorry, it's hard to remember this stuff at the last. It's hard to remember what I'm trying to figure this now. Like, oh my god. But yeah, it adds so much content, a bunch of new characters, a lot of modes. Like honestly, it's amazing how much they were able to pack in the PSP like disc, the UMD disc. It's amazing how much they were able to pack in that disc for Dissidia 12. It's like, yeah, granted, they were using the foundation of the first Dissidia, but they added so much that it feels like an entirely new game. Not only you're getting Dissidia, but you're getting like all the extra shit in 012 as well, including the improved game mechanics. There some things that I wish 012 did better. Yeah, I really wish they got a remaster, but that's not really a fault of the game. It's just a fault of Square not doing it for me. I really wish there were some songs in the game that wasn't DLC, because there's like quite a few songs that are DLC, which I hate so much. Don't like it, but it's whatever. You know, it's whatever. I'm just happy that there are all these games, like all the stuff here in Dissidia 12. Honestly, this game definitely needs a remaster. Of all Square Enix games that definitely need a remaster, 12 is it, because even if you're not a Final Fantasy fan, I really believe you should play this game at least once. It's like one of the best games on the PSP, like bar none. Like it's so damn good. It's so damn good. All right, Final Fantasy 11. I never had internet around the time Final Fantasy 11 was a thing, so no comment on Final Fantasy 11. So we'll move on to Final Fantasy 12. I'm mixed on Final Fantasy 12. I'm not gonna call it so-so. Not that I hate the game at all. Not even close. It's a great game. I bought in Final Fantasy 12, like obviously, like I think like 3 times. I had for the PS2. I also had it for the PS4 with the Zodiac Age, and I now have this Switch for the Zodiac Age. And I play every time, but I never get a chance to actually beat the game. I always get stuck at a certain point in 12. 12 is gameplay kind of weird to me, you know? Like, it plays kind of like an MMO, but it's not exactly an MMO. But I do like playing the game. You know, there's some things about the game I just kind of don't get into too much. Like, for example, like the combat itself. You know, it's like it's not like the combat because it's automated or everything. It's just like, yeah, you're not doing too much, but at the same time, there's a level of strategy you got to figure out, because you know your character's always moving, and then you get to worry about the enemies attacking you. Enemies in 12 do not take any prisoners. A lot of people say the game's kind of like, you know, easy mode, the Final Fantasy game, but I don't think so. There's like a lot of enemies in the game that can't kick your ass if you're just letting the game automate itself, because there's sometimes you have to, like, you know, select your options to make sure these enemies don't kill you, and make sure, you know, certain bosses don't kill you, because they can easily do that. Status effects are plenty in 12, so yeah, there's that. But I think the job system really does help to give the game a lot more flexibility, especially in the Zodiac Age, where you can choose like I think like 2 job wheels for your character. I can't remember like what I've done. I can't remember how far I am in 12, because I'm further in 12 with the Zodiac Age on the Switch than any other time I played it. But you know, I can't really comment on that though. Can't really comment on that. It's been so long, dude. It's been so long that I actually touched the game. It's been like, what? Not so long. I guess it's been about a year since I actually picked up the game, but it's been like, it feels way longer than that, because I haven't actually got further into the game. I need to play 12 again sometime, but I really did enjoy why I play. I just actually need to beat it. I probably should have made a little list here about games I haven't beaten yet, instead of like can't remember, but yeah, whatever. Final Fantasy 40 After Years. Now, I don't know what people's opinions are on Final Fantasy 40 After Years. I'll put it so-so. I do remember smidgets of it, so I can't put it in the can't remember pile. But at the same time, I don't remember myself enjoying the After Years so much. It feels like, at times, it feels like I'm playing Final Fantasy 4 again, and I don't know about that. Like, I feel like there's some events in the game that do play out exactly the same. There are some characters that like feel weird in the After Years, like how they play, and then like, you know, like how they work mechanic wise, you know. There are some bosses in the game like I just not a fan of, like the mysterious girl and that dragon I can't remember the name of. It's been a while, but I remember that mysterious girl boss fight, which is dumb, because like, oh no, if you got Rydia, and if she ain't strong enough, she's gonna die. I remember, because I hated getting stuck at that part. Plus, I don't know why. After Years just feels unnecessary, you know. Like, I feel like I don't mind Final Fantasy games getting sequels if they warranted, but I feel like the After Years, like Final Fantasy 4 just didn't need a sequel to me personally. I feel like Final Fantasy 4 was fine on its own. The After Years just feels like it's there, you know, something they wanted to do. Because Final Fantasy 4 is a weird game. Like, not like weird as in like, you know, like a weird game. Well, all Final Fantasy games are weird, but it feels like that game where it just didn't need a sequel, and yet Square just wants to remake the game all the time. Because yeah, remakes Final Fantasy IV has in different ports and shit. Like, it's crazy. Like, I don't know why. I know they really love 4, but damn. Ugh. All right, now we're gonna get into the tough ones. The 13 trilogy. I'm gonna say this. I do not hate Final Fantasy 13. Does it have problems? Yes. But I can't bring myself to hate 13. A lot of people hate 13. People have the most intense rage for 13, but I personally don't. Yeah, the story is a little weird, a little convoluted, and there's some terms that aren't explained to you, like, oh, what the hell does a foul C mean? A lassie, a sief. There's a lot of things that just those are the buzzwords that people go to the most, because like, oh, you have to look at the glossary to figure it out. And like, look, I'm gonna say this. I don't hate the characters as much as other people do. A lot of people hate characters like Vanille, and I can see why. First of all, I can see why. But at the same time, I was like, they're not that bad. Like, if you really want to get bad, there's like plenty of games that have like generally terrible characters. But a lot of people like, oh, they want to call Hope whiny. They want to call Snow annoying. They want to call Vanille screechy and annoying. They want to call Lightning a bitch, stuff like that. But like, I personally don't think that. These characters are flawed, but not flawed to the point where it's like, you would hate them. I personally don't. I think, like, and also Fang's pretty cool. And Fang and Saz are like my favorite out of like the main cast. But like, I generally think the battle system is okay. A lot of people don't like the battle system. They think it's like a little bit too made for them. But there's a lot of level strategy in there. Because like Final Fantasy 13 can and will kick your ass at points if you're not paying attention. Yeah, the battles may be automated, like, to an extent. Right, but like you have to like really plan out your things, because there's some things there's some battles that just will destroy you, like every bartenderless battle. Like if you call that easy, I don't know what the hell is up with you, man. There's no way you can overgrind in 13. Yeah, I understand people like they don't like being locked out of progression. And I understand that, there's some things that people want to, we want the Crystarian system completely open up for every character. I totally understand that. But I feel like characters do well in the roles they have. You don't think you need to unlock the Crystarian from every character when you're starting out. But I understand why people have grievances over it, because they want every character to, be customizable to their will. But I personally think that's all right. Yeah, I do believe that the game opening up later down the line is a huge detriment to the game, because people don't like the long linear hallways of Final Fantasy 13. I can understand that to a point, but it's not the worst thing ever. I've played a lot of linear games in my life. Final Fantasy 13 is not that bad. And also, I don't like how people trash all the music. The music of 13 is great. I don't know what the hell people are talking about when they shit on the music. I just think people just don't have really bad music taste. And yeah, music taste is subjective, but like 13's music is really good. To everyone who says the music sucks, you suck. No, I'm kidding. That's not fair. but seriously though, I don't believe 13 deserves all the hate it gets. Now 13-2. 13-2, I think goes and enjoyed it. Oh, hold on. Oh, come on now. Okay, there we go. 13-2 is an enjoyable game. The music is just like, I think what one thing that everyone can agree on with 13-2 is that the music is just damn good. Like really damn good, like beyond good. Like the way they experiment with so many different styles and make it all work for 13-2 is a damn good thing. They expanded on the openness of the world, because obviously openness of the worlds, because you gotta go through different timelines in 13-2. But a lot of people are like, oh no, 13's linear, and the developers are listening. It's like, okay, fine, we'll expand it so it won't be so damn linear. Instead of controlling like 6 characters, now you're controlling like 2, technically 3 if you count the monster mechanics when you catch monsters, and they'll be part of your team, and you can customize them somewhat. Like the story is different. The story is a different take. I do like the story of 13-2. It's just kind of like all over the place due to the whole time travel mechanics, because certain things take place in one time period that correlate to one thing in another time period, but it doesn't like go in parallel, because one time period is completely different. That kind of thing. Like the story's all over the place, but the base story idea of like Noel and Caius and Yule, I think that works pretty well. Sarah's kind of just there along for the ride. I feel kind of bad for her, because like I feel like Sarah was never one of my favorite characters anyway. I never really felt anything for her in 13, and I kind of don't feel anything for her in 13-2. She just feels like kind of like a tag along to have to be there because because Lightning isn't there. I feel like Noel's the real main character of 13-2, and I think his story with Caius and Yule work out pretty well. I think that's all I have to say. The graphics look exactly the same. I think you take a little bit of a dip from 13. I think that's a problem with the 13 trilogy. It's like, yeah, 13 looks so good that every game takes after it and had like less development time. They kind of take a hit for it because they're using the same engine and they have to kind of like, take corners and stuff. Cut corners, my bad. But yeah, that's that. All right, next game on the list is Lightning Returns Final Fantasy 13. A lot of people hate Lightning Returns. I think it's a great game. Lightning Returns is a very... If 13 was mixed, then I think Lightning Returns is probably the most mixed thing ever. There isn't much story when it comes to Lightning Returns. It kind of just ends off like, Lightning's the savior. She was chosen by God to save all the souls of the dead that are on Earth before the end of the world comes in 13 days. Now, for an interesting premise kind of like that, they don't do too much with it. And what they do with is like, oh yeah, the game's a bunch of side quests. You have to kind of level up everything. Everything literally has a time limit. You're on a time-sensitive schedule. And a lot of people don't like that. I didn't like it at first until I started playing it, until like I started getting into the game more. Lightning Returns is that kind of game where you need like an understanding of the game before jumping in, and that's a detriment to it, because there's some people who just like, want to play it for the first time and they're so lost and confused about what things are happening, and like, I understand why people have an issue with the game. It's not the best game. It's not, and there's a lot of weird design choices, like, oh yeah, the only way you can gain your stats is through side quests. I don't know why they would do such a thing. I can understand why maybe they would do such a thing to try to spice up the gameplay, but it's I don't know why Final Fantasy just keeps like, and 13 was weird with the whole level up progression. It's like, oh yeah, you don't level up naturally, you have to like level up through different means, because I don't know why they would do such a thing, but whatever. Music's pretty good. Graphics have taken a huge hit since the original 13. I'm not going to get into that, but the game doesn't look as good. I mean, the game looks good in places, but it doesn't look as good as 13 did. Lightning's not the most interesting character, because like the whole plot idea is like her, like they took away her like emotions and shit. And for God's evil plan, Bonavel's is not really that interesting to me as a villain, and you do get, and some of the other Final Fantasy 13 characters are very underutilized, like Saz. I think Lumina's a good choice for this to the game. And yeah, that's that. This is 13. Like Lightning Returns is a weird one. It's a weird one to talk about. But I personally don't hate the game, but I definitely see the massive glaring issues. And plus the time mechanic is, it's not my favorite, but it's not enough to get in my way. Even though it's a lot of things, like there's like a lot of side quests that are time sensitive and have different times of the day to work. That's an issue. But anyway, Final Fantasy 15. Oof. Final Fantasy 15. If we're talking about base Final Fantasy 15, I would say great. If we're talking about the Royal Edition, which I'm going to count, I think Final Fantasy 15 is a great game. It has holes in regards to the story. The gameplay is, I think it's fine, even though you just press down O the whole time. I'm sorry, circle. I don't want to say O. Yeah, you press down the circle button to do attacks and everything. But I think with like the enhancements to Royal Edition and the other side quests, not side quests, side stories for characters like Prompto, Ignis, Gladiolus, Arden, stuff like that. Yeah, I think it made Final Fantasy 15. Final Fantasy 15 is a decent game. It's not the best. I think the story does have holes in it, but it does really good near the end. Like at the end, like I think like Hajime Tabata nails his endings in Final Fantasy games. I really do believe that. Even if the story is lackluster to a certain extent, I really believe he nails the endings. And I think that Final Fantasy 15 has a great ending, even though like there's some obviously like we got Ignis's DLC that kind of like has an alternate timeline split. There was like the Dawn of the Future, the Dawn of the Future book that was kind of like going to like give everyone a happy ending. Like I'm not the biggest fan of that, but if the original ending stayed canon, I'm okay with that, as long as as long as it doesn't intrude on the original ending, I'm okay with that. But and it sucks that we didn't get the other DLC episodes, like there was supposed to be an episode for Luna Freya that she definitely needed. Yeah, speaking of Luna Freya, she is like not the best character. Like she seems badass in places, but we don't get to see much of her. But yeah, music's also pretty great. Yoko Shimomura, along with the other composers, have done an amazing job. The game looks pretty decent. I like traversing the overworld. Base 15 was kind of an issue because, like, you know, you couldn't really go much anywhere. You know, with your car being automated, and on top of that, yeah, and you had to like get a deal, and like only after the updates in the game became way better. But like base 15, like, there's a lot of design issues I'm not a fan of. But yeah, 15's all right. Okay, Dirge of Cerberus, Final Fantasy 7. No, okay, I'm gonna say this. Dirge of Cerberus is that one game I can enjoy for how terrible it is, because it is completely unnecessary. The Soviets outside of maybe Shulk and Rosso the Crimson are terrible. The idea of expanding lore on Vincent could have worked, but it kind of just muddies up Final Fantasy 7. Vincent becoming a main character in his own game is kind of a cool idea, but like when you actually execute that, it's not good. And then this game trying to retroactively says, oh, hey guys, remember when we killed Hojo at the end of Final Fantasy 7? Oh, well, how about he just becomes a computer, goes in, like he dies and he sends his consciousness into the computer and downloads it into Vice the Immaculate. Yeah, let's do that. Like, the story of Dirge of Cerberus is god awful. It's so bad. It's bad in a humorous way, but it's so bad. So bad. Don't get me started on a cheesy ending where everyone's like, go Vincent, go, when Vincent's like, oh, I guess it's time to save the world. And then he, like, I was like, ugh. Dirge of Cerberus is awful. Like, I just can't, dude. It's so bad. But like, I can enjoy it on like, it's a so bad it's good principle, but like Dirge of Cerberus is like bad. Like, holy shit. It's like beyond terrible, man. Like, I don't even know how. And like, don't even get me started on a really bad gameplay, dude. Like, honestly, if you play the Dirge of Cerberus with a keyboard and mouse, it becomes a little bit more bearable. But like, if you're playing with a standard dinky PlayStation 2 controller, God have mercy on your soul, friend. Oh man, yeah, Dirge of Cerberus is not good. Anyway, Final Fantasy 1. Final Fantasy 1, I can't put any. I played it on great. It's Final Fantasy 1. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, I don't know much to say. It's Final Fantasy 1. Pretty good game. All right, moving on to Final Fantasy Legends. I have not played Legends. I think I have, but I'm not going to put it in the Remember section because I can't be sure. So I'm put in Never Played. Then we've got Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. I played Mystic Quest. It's so-so. It's so-so. I don't hate the game, but I'm not really a big fan of it either. I love the battle themes. Don't get me wrong, the battle themes are good. The graphics look good for its time. Final Fantasy Mystic Quest is just Final Fantasy USA. You know, it's like Super Mario Bros. 2, where like the Japanese think we couldn't handle the good games, so they just gave us Mystic Quest. So yeah, Mystic Quest ain't bad. It's just like, yeah. Okay, another Final Fantasy Tactics game I have not played. Okay, I'm gonna be lying to you. I haven't played every Tactics game, so I'm just gonna throw that into the never played. I'm just gonna be real with you on that front. So let's exclude that one. Dissidia Nt, hate it. I hate this game. I hate this game so much. Look, I hate Dissidia Nt with a burning passion. It ruined one of the best franchises Final Fantasy has spawned in a long time. Not franchises. Okay, sub-series. There we go, sub-series. I didn't mean franchise, but that was just mean Final Fantasy 7 in general. I'm sorry, Final Fantasy in general. I say 7. Dissidia Nt sucks. It's such a mechanically broken game. It has no modes, it's not fun, and the story mode progression is balls garbage. I hate Dissidia Nt. I hate this game with a burning passion. Even the music, some of the remakes of the music suck. I hate this game. I'm sorry if anyone liked Dissidia Nt. The DLC is overpriced. I don't like the only thing the game has going for it is that the game looks good. That is it. If Dissidia Nt could get a rating from me, I give it a 2 out of 10. And the 2 is the graphics. I hate Nt. It sucks. It's a horrible, god-awful game. I wish it ever existed. Moving on. All right, Theorhythm Final Fantasy. Oh god, damn. Did I remember playing? I never played. I don't think I played Theorhythm. So let's just put Theorhythm in. Okay, Final Fantasy Type 0. I have played Type 0. I would say great. Type 0 is not a bad game. It's a game I never got into and a game I never beat. I think I kept dying on certain missions and I just kind of gave up because I was terrible at the game. I don't remember much of the characters because, you know, everyone's not much of everyone gets a diverse character standing, really. Not every character is made equal per se. Like if you're the main characters, like I think Rim and Machina. I can't remember their names exactly, but and also Ace, I guess he becomes important later down the line. Even though he's not the main character, despite being on the cover, which is kind of weird. I just find that funny. But yeah, Type Zero also has great music. Takahara Ishimoto kills it here as well. Yeah, I don't know what much to say about Type Zero. I enjoyed the game. I enjoyed from what I played of it. I didn't beat it yet. So yeah, let's just move on to the other one because I don't want to just stall here trying to figure out the game. I just can't. I remember it, so I can't put in the can't remember section, but I remember enjoying what I played of it. All right, Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. I have never played Brave Exvius. I don't do mobile games for Final Fantasy, so I kind of just can't bring it up. I haven't played Final Fantasy Explorers, and I haven't played Final Fantasy Dimensions, so I can't really comment on that either. Final Fantasy 2, no, I don't like Final Fantasy 2 either. Final Fantasy 2 is not my favorite game. It's mostly due to the level up system. I think it just kind of, you can either break the game or the game just becomes very unfun to play. And the way they make you level up things by using, you gotta cast fire a bunch of times to level up. You gotta level up weapons and all that junk. And you can either become the most overpowered thing ever or just struggle with the game if you want to level up all your loadout. And I don't like the whole idea of the leveling up weapons system kind of thing. Especially how grindy the game is. I don't like it. I mean, honestly, if you really want to play this game, just pick 4 monks and just pick 4 warrior classes. Well, you can in this game because everyone's automated. You got Guy, Fury, and Maria, and I think what was the last character? Guy, Fury, and Maria. I can't remember the other characters. Oh yeah, no, wait. I can't remember. It's been so long, goddamn. But I remember not liking 2. Oh man. Okay, the next game is Final Fantasy Tactics X. Oh, because not Tactics, my bad. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Explorers of Time. I don't remember playing Explorers of Time. So I remember playing it, but I can't remember anything about it. So I'm putting the can't remember section. Then we got Final Fantasy 3. I did enjoy Final Fantasy 3. It's not my favorite Final Fantasy game, but I think I enjoyed a lot of it. I played most of the DS version. I never played the SNES version, but I remember playing the DS version. I don't remember much about it because Final Fantasy 3 is that kind of game that doesn't have much of a story going on to it until the very end. It's more you get chosen to save the world. You get 4 crystals. You're the Warriors of Light. I think things really kick in near the end of the game when you get to the Crystal Tower. I hate the Crystal Tower. Can I just say that? I think the Crystal Tower is by far one of the worst dungeons ever created because A, you don't get any save points. B, you got boss rush everyone until you get to the final boss. On top of that, okay, you go to the Crystal Tower, you gotta go to this long-ass dungeon, then you gotta boss rush the bosses that are there, like Xande, then you gotta fight the 4 fiends, and then you gotta fight Cloud Darkness, and keep in mind, this is all one run. You die, you gotta start all over. And that's what kept me from beating Final Fantasy 3 back in the day, until I just said F it and just went straight forward and, did it myself. I hated that part of the game, and I think that's what I think just that dungeon just keeps this game from being, so-so for me. I like the game. The Crystal Tower prevents it from being, enjoyed it. Plus, the story is not that good. Yeah, just moving on. Final Fantasy V. I thoroughly did enjoy Final Fantasy V. I like Final Fantasy V. I really enjoyed the humor. I like the idea of, Final Fantasy V being a more humorous game. Really fun game. The idea of X-Def being this tree that gains sentience, this tree is just full of evil and just spawn as this warrior in a suit of armor. I just think that just adds to the silliness factor. Final Fantasy V is a silly game. There's some points, I feel like this game's you're not really supposed to take it seriously. And I think that's a game that you should you should play just to, chill. Because a lot of other Final Fantasy games have a lot of seriousness in them. They have some moments of levity, but it's just 5 is one of those games you play for the humor factor and you enjoy the entire ride all the way through. It's silly. Final Fantasy VI is a really good game. I will put it also a great. Final Fantasy VI is a timeless game. I feel no matter how old you get, you can still enjoy Final Fantasy VI. No matter how old the game gets, you can still enjoy it. I do believe there are way too many party members in the game to do anything with. I mean, you get a Yeti on your team. Why do you have a Yeti on your team? We don't know. And then there's also Shadow. Shadow doesn't really do much, and like you can also miss him as a party member, which kills me. Like freaking kills me. Like yeah, I think Final Fantasy VI kind of just runs on a little bit too many characters. I feel like if you just trim down the part, I don't understand it's for variety's sake, but if you trim down just like just a little bit more of the characters, I think I've been okay with it. But it's still a great game at the end of the day, even with my grievances. The music's still great. Honestly, the music's the best it's ever been on the Super Nintendo. Honestly, like way too damn good. Nobuo Uematsu was killing it during this era. But yeah, the story with the other characters is actually pretty damn good. It's very emotional. Like this game really brings out the emotion, despite everything being like 16-bit. Like you can definitely feel how much work and effort was put into this game, and I really do enjoy that. Like I really believe that this is one of the best Super Nintendo games out there. In all honesty, Final Fantasy VII is an all-time classic, and I love this game. But it's not my all-time favorite. There are some design choices in 7 that just bother me sometimes. Now, a lot of them, because there's a lot of good for Final Fantasy VII, right? I was never like the biggest Final Fantasy VII fanboy or anything. I'm saying that as like I love 7, but I'm not like one of the people who think, oh my god, 7's like the best game ever. Not like that. I really do love this game. I appreciate all the characters. I appreciate all the epic moments. As a matter of fact, this is perfect time to talk about 7 because I just finished playing 7 recently, and I remember enjoying myself like a lot of time with it. 7 has a lot of content in it that you just never would figure out unless if you went out of your way for it. A lot of material, 2 extra characters you can get in the form of Yuffie and Vincent. You can get the ultimate weapons in like easier ways than any other Final Fantasy game out there. I really enjoy 7. 7 is a damn good game. Sephiroth, while not the most interesting villain, it's like the way the game plays on your fear of the unknown. I think that's what works in Final Fantasy VII as well. Is like there's a lot of unknowns about 7 as you go through, and like the whole psychological trippy shit they do with the character models, despite them looking really kind of like very outdated. I really think that like what the direction of the game is really good. Like you go around Midgard, you see like people's living their lives, and you leave Midgard, and Sephiroth like in the Shinra building alone was like, oh, Sephiroth just slaughtered everyone in the building and killed the president, and there's like blood trails everywhere. And then Genova somehow got out of her confinements. That's the kind of thing. It's like, oh man, this is creepy. Like, and I think Final Fantasy VII works on that. It works that fear factor really well compared to other Final Fantasy games. Like, Final Fantasy VII could be a horror game if it decided to. Like, it works so well. It works so well. It could be a straight up damn horror game if it wanted to, and I like that. And there's a lot of silly moments to, not make everything so depressing, because Final Fantasy VII is a sad game. But there's a lot of silly moments, like you can go play at the Gold Saucer, Cloud can participate. There's like the whole wall market thing. Don't even get me started on that, where Cloud can cross-dress. Final Fantasy VII is a well-rounded game. It's a very well-rounded game. It has a lot of serious moments. There's a lot of funny moments. There's a lot of levity there, a lot of emotion. And I think Final Fantasy VII is one of the most well-rounded Final Fantasy games in both plot and character-wise. Great game. Final Fantasy IX is also the same thing as well. There's a lot of funny moments and a lot of serious moments to balance out everything. And while I am not the biggest fan of 9, I really do think that everyone should at least play 9 as their first Final Fantasy game if they ever wanted to play it. Either 9 or 7, but I think 9 is easier to sell on some people. Like, if you want to go back to a classic style Final Fantasy game you want to play for the first time, if you don't want to play anything like 1 or anything like that, or 14 as if everyone's playing nowadays. But I think if you really want to play a Final Fantasy game for the first time, I really believe you play 9. Like, the characters are really endearing. I really love characters like Zidane and Zidane, quote-unquote, Dagger's relationship. I really like Vivi. I think Vivi is one of my favorite Final Fantasy characters in general. I just love the little guy. Steiner is pretty damn good. And I just think the plot overall is very interesting. And I really think that, Zidane's relationship with Kuja, and obviously Kuja himself is also pretty interesting as well. Like, I just these characters are all very good. I wouldn't rank it higher than 7 in my opinion, but I really believe that Final Fantasy IX is a damn good game. Plus, Nobuo Uematsu kills it with his music. I really think 8 has the best PlayStation 1 soundtrack of the Final Fantasy game, but 9 is just that damn good too. 9 is damn good. Like you can definitely tell he peaked at 9 with the PS1 era Nobuo Uematsu music. Final Fantasy X. Final Fantasy X is also a damn good game as well. 10 is one of those games where like the story is like timeless. Yeah, a lot of people hate certain characters. I'm not gonna. Okay, Titus, and yeah, I know his name's pronounced Titus, but it's Titus to me, damn it. And I know a lot of people hate on Titus, but I really think he works with this game. I really think that, yeah, he has some moments, but again, you keep in mind at the end of the day, like Titus, yeah, he's just a normal dude thrown into this world with daddy issues, and over the course of the game, he's trying to struggle like not only with his own father issues and the fact that his father is a giant goddamn whale killing everyone, but it's also like a lot of things he has to struggle with his own existence being called into question. He has to deal with the idea of like seeing death all around him, wondering how he fits into the world, that kind of thing. And I really think Titus' story is actually pretty damn good. I mean, the idea of him telling you this story is that listen to my story. This might be our last chance, and I really like that. And all the other characters in the game are actually pretty well done as well. I like Waka, and he has to come to terms with his own goddamn racism. Riku is just a fun time. Lulu's pretty cool, and her dress of belts is like one of the coolest and dumbest things in Final Fantasy in general. Kamari's pretty cool because he's super chill. You really think he's just a super serious guy, but he really does generally care for everyone in Yuna. Auron's probably one of the most badass Final Fantasy characters ever, and the music is just damn good. Not a fan of how some of the remastered OST did the music, but I really think Final Fantasy X has a really, really good soundtrack. I really personally believe that. Now we got Final Fantasy X-2. Oof. Final Fantasy X-2. I'm not going to be like one of those people who hate X-2. I love X-2 for how silly it is. X-2 is like the silliest transition. Like Final Fantasy X has some serious moments, and like it was a pretty depressing game overall if you really think about it. X-2 just says F that, let's dance. And like you got freaking Yuna, who is not really Yuna in the beginning of the game, but just seeing that first thing, just like seeing a Yuna dancing on screen, like dancing to pop music, and you're like, what the hell happened? But you keep in mind, like this is after the events of 10. Everyone's okay now. All the events of 10 is like everyone's safe from sin now, and there's like a lot of other issues that could come up as well. Like, and if they want to do Charlie's Angels, the Final Fantasy game, I say let them. Like Final Fantasy X-2 is a funny game. It's a funny game, an interesting game. Like I call it Charlie's Angels, the Final Fantasy game. Oh, sorry if you heard my voice cut out. My recording crashed. Of course it did. But anyway, back to X-2. Yeah, I believe that call it Charlie's Angels, the Final Fantasy game. Is like, that's what I call it. It's just Charlie's Angels as a Final Fantasy game. That's what kills me. But anyway, yeah, X-2 was a damn good game. It has a really amazing battle system with the dress spears. Music's not my favorite because there's only a couple of tracks in the entire game I like from X-2. And just seeing Yuna be able to cheer up and just dance around with Riku and a new character named as Pain. Pain's also pretty cool as well. I definitely wish she should have appeared in more more crossover Final Fantasy media. But I really believe that like X-2 is a damn good game. A lot of people just don't like it because of its association with 10 and how different it is. But I think I like it because of how different it is. All right. Next we have, oh god, I gotta scroll in for this one. Put that back. Okay, what's this one? Oh, 4 Heroes of Light. I haven't played 4 Heroes of Light. So I'm gonna put that there. Final Fantasy VIII. Ooh, this is tough. I'm gonna put it in so-so. I don't hate 8. I don't like playing 8. And I don't like the story of 8 too much because it does have a lot of flaws. It has a lot of flaws. The gameplay is weird, even though I understand what they're going for. I'm not the biggest 8 fan, but I appreciate what it was trying to say and what it was trying to do. Plus, I believe that out of all the PS1 era Final Fantasy games, even before the PS1 era, I think, okay, how to try this? I believe Final Fantasy VIII has the best soundtrack from the NES era all the way to the PS1 era of Final Fantasy games. Final Fantasy VIII is like it has a damn good soundtrack. I personally believe Nobuo Uematsu peaked here at least with the old era of Final Fantasy. Like when 10 onwards, I count that as like new era Final Fantasy, right? And I count like everything before 10 as like old era Final Fantasy. And I believe that Final Fantasy VIII has the best soundtrack out of old era Final Fantasy. Like the Legendary Beast, Don't Be Afraid, Force Your Way, you know, all those songs, The Blue Fields, like all those songs, or The Extreme as well. All those songs are just damn good. I think nearly the entire soundtrack of 8 is just like perfect. Really good. Really good. Not a biggest fan of the characters, but I appreciate what they were going for with 8. You know, I put in so because I can't bring myself to hate it, but I can't bring myself to like sing its praises either. I haven't played Mystery Dungeon, so I'm just gonna put that in the have not played list. All right, next was Final Fantasy 14, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I've only played 14 during the PS3 era, enjoyed it, like, you know, back then when 14 was on the PS3. I played it, I enjoyed it, but I never went past that. Like once they shut down service for the PS3 version, I kind of just fell off of it. Yeah, I have a PS4 now and I could play it, but my internet sucks, so you know, gotta do that. So I'm gonna put it in the cannot remember section because I don't know where to put it at. I enjoy what I played of it, but I don't feel confident to say that I played a lot of it. I mean, with games like Type 0, yeah, I haven't played it like all the way to the end. But at the same time, I played enough of it to like you'll remember a lot of shit about it. But like I can't say that for 14. Damn. Okay. What's this one again? Explorers. Oh, okay. Well, Explorers. No, I don't think I played Explorers. All right. Rings. Okay. Crystal Chronicles: Rings of Fate. I enjoy Rings of Fate. I actually really like this game. I'm putting it in the enjoyed section. I love Crystal Chronicles Ring of Fates. I'm sorry. I'm always used to saying Rings of Fate, but it's actually Ring of Fates. Like, I don't know why Rings of Fate sounds better. But yeah, I really do enjoy Crystal Chronicles Ring of Fates. I really believe it's a nice game. I really believe that like everyone should play this game if they can, but you know, it's on the DS now, so good luck getting a hold of that. But like Ring of Fates is a damn good game. I really appreciate it. Like honestly, I like how the game plays. I like the whole like it's not really a synthesis mechanic, like where it's kind of like they kind of mix the idea of like, you know, like a synthesizer thing where you create magic spells by combining two together. You got like combine the magic on the bottom screen and combine it to a whole new ass like big spell and everything. The game is really puzzle heavy. You know, it's like you gotta go to a bunch of dungeons and do a lot of puzzles and everything like that. I really do enjoy characters when you see of them. Now, you don't obviously, you know, it's been a while since I played the game, but the soundtrack is also pretty good as well. Kumi Tanioka, who does the music for like Final Fantasy 12, really shows like her best work here in Ring of Fates, in my opinion. And it's hard to talk about this game without going to a big and long tangent. I don't want to go into a giant tangent like I did with 13, but I really think Ring of Fates is a damn good game. I really do enjoy it. All right, I think that's what's next. Crystal Bears for the Wii. Oh man, I don't remember. Wait, I don't remember playing Crystal Bears, and I don't think I ever played that game. All right, Crystal Chronicles, and I think they mean the first Crystal Chronicles. I don't remember. I don't think I ever had that game. Like I never played the remaster either. So let's just put in the never played it. All right, next up is Final Fantasy IV. I love Final Fantasy IV. For what they did with this game, even despite it being on the SNES, I think they've done an amazing job. Yeah, granted, the game could look better, because like this game does not look like it belongs in the SNES, but you know, by the time we get to Final Fantasy VI, they perfected the art style and the graphics look. But this game really took into like a huge moment of storytelling in regards to Final Fantasy storytelling. Because like 1, 2, and 3 are like basic, you know, save the world plots. Except maybe 2. D2 had like their own established characters that deviate from that. Even though they really didn't do much, you only see like one character for like a little bit until you don't see him for the rest of the game to like the final dungeon. I'm talking about you, guy. You can't escape this, man. But yeah, I love 4, man. 4 is really good. I really like the idea of like, you know, Kain being like this. Kain, Cecil, Golbez. Damn, I'm stumbling around like I'm forgetting shit. Like I remember playing this game a long time ago recently, like a few years ago back on my YouTube channel. I know I remember shit. It's just, damn, I feel like my brain is turning to mush trying to remember. Like, what did I remember in Final Fantasy IV? I don't want to put in the can't remember section. I don't want to put it in that can't remember section. I do remember enough about the game. I just can't bring up nothing right now. I think I'm kind of burnt out on this video right now. I think that's why my brain's just kind of turning to mush. All right, Final Fantasy Tactics. I think it's Grimoire of the Rift. Haven't played it. I really need to play more Final Fantasy Tactics. All right, what's this one? Final Fantasy Legend 3. I have. Oh, it's like the Saga games. I haven't played Legends. What's next? Whoops. Stop. Okay. Crap. No, go back. Wait. Okay, there. I haven't played. I don't think I've played the original Curtain Call. I think I have, but I can't remember. So I'm just gonna put in the can't remember. Dissidia Opera Omnia. I haven't played Opera Omnia, so put that in there. Legends 2 is another Saga game. Haven't played that either. I haven't played Record Keeper either. Damn. It's a lot of Final Fantasy. Boom. Crisis Core Final Fantasy. Okay, look. Let me be straight up. Crisis Core is a great game. It has a lot of issues. I will admit that. Like, the story. Like, the story is cool, like, you know, regards to Zack, but when you start adding shit like Genesis, aka Gact, yeah, I'm gonna keep bringing it up. Gact in Final Fantasy is probably like one of the worst things that Square has ever done. And nothing against Gact. I'm pretty sure he's a cool guy and everything, but nothing against Gact. But like, I believe that this game should just not have been made like that. Like, I believe that Gact shouldn't have had no involvement in Final Fantasy at all. Genesis is not a good character. Genesis sucks, and he tears down the whole damn story where he shoves himself into lore bits. Oh shit! Sephiroth discovers that he may not be human. Oh well. Let's put Genesis in here, and you got like shitty characters like Professor Hollander. Lazar ain't that bad, but he's like very unmemorable. Angel kind of meh. Like, you know, the new characters they introduced for Final Fantasy Crisis Core kind of blow. You know, they kind of suck to me personally. I do like Zack. They did Zack a lot of justice, and the music is great. The gameplay is kind of okay. You know, it's, you know, whatever. You know, the DMW is not my favorite thing because, you know, the whole, like, that's the only way you can level up in the game, and I don't like leveling up on random chance. I think I hate that. Game's all right. Music's perfect. You know, Takahara Ishimo just rocks it with these remixes of certain Final Fantasy music. Even the original ones sound damn great too. Like, you get this whole feeling about backwater town, which I think that's the idea of going with Crisis Core. You know, Zack is this dude from a backwater town. But yeah, Crisis Core is all right. Story editions kind of suck, but I think the game's okay enough. A King's Tale Final Fantasy. Okay, I've played A King's Tale, but I can't remember shit about it. All right, Final Fantasy 15. Wait, did I already do 15? Oh, that's a new Empire Final Fantasy 15. I haven't played New Empire. All right, that's Pocket Edition. I haven't played Pocket Edition. I don't think I need to. So 2 more games to go. Monster of the Deep Final. Okay, ever played Monster of the Deep either? And also I got to put like a. I know I moved this game from under the so-so list because I was trying to move shit around. Damn it. Yeah. Okay, Final Fantasy VII Remake. Let's just move on. We're at the last one. Final Fantasy VII Remake. Love the game. I thoroughly enjoyed Final Fantasy VII Remake. A lot of people have a problem with the plot ideas and the plot ghosts and the changes at the end and the Sephiroth final battle and the whispers and all that shit. Even though I just said plot ghosts, they're the whispers. But I like the idea of the game being a meta commentary on like remaking games in general. I really like that concept. I know it's kind of weird, but like, and I feel bad for people who are getting into Final Fantasy VII for the first time. Sorry, Final Fantasy VII Remake for the first time and not knowing anything about the 7 or its compilations. I feel for those people. I really do, because honestly, like, it's like when you play the game and you see like people talking about like, oh no, SNG type soldiers. Yeah, you don't need to play Crisis Core to know that, but it helps. You know, oh, you see Sephiroth screwing around the timeline. It's like, oh, well, we don't know shit about Sephiroth in this game. He's just some dude coming in to screw a Cloud. And I feel like they did play their Sephiroth card a little bit too much. I believe they did play the Sephiroth card a little bit too much. I don't know why they did him so. I get why, but like, you know, it's why, you know, like he could have easily been saved for like some other time or whatever. But I get it, you know, Sephiroth's known to so many people now, so like hiding him probably wouldn't have been the best. And it probably wouldn't give you the same feeling as Final Fantasy VII, where he's just like this mysterious figure, always like 2 steps ahead of you and killing things ahead of you and all that shit. But yeah, I get it. But I really do believe that the character interactions between, you know, Cloud, Tifa, Aerith, Barret, Red 13, they've done them so well. They've done those character interactions so well that they've exceeded even past all of them, all the interactions they had in 7. They've done the character writing so much justice, because a lot of people were worried about, oh man, dude, let's see what happened to all the Final Fantasy characters as the compilation went on. I hope to God we don't have to deal with, you know, emo boy Cloud, pure uncorruptible Aerith, boring Tifa, nothing Barret. You know, I feel like, you know, yeah, like the compilation that did some of the characters dirty. Actually, all the characters got done dirty. And I'm proud to say that Remake did them a lot of justice, like they were back in Final Fantasy VII, and then some. You know, they nailed the character right. The game is so funny, and the game feels so alive with all these characters interacting with each other like that. You know, there are some moments in the game I don't like. You know, there's some games I don't like. I don't like the idea of them removing materia duplication. You're like, oh, you level up a materia Final Fantasy VII, you get to have a copy of that materia, because there's some materia in the game, like the magnified material, that I like and I want more of, but you can't get more of. That sucks, but you know, whatever. You just gotta roll with it, whatever. There's some walking sections that I'm not a fan of, because it kind of halts your progression right there. You can't skip it. You have to go through it. You know, there's some cutscenes in the game you just can't skip because they're not exactly cutscenes per se. Anything else? Any other complaints I had about 7 Remake? Not really. I really wish there was more to do. I really wish they had more, like, more summon battles and everything like that, you know? I really wish that was the case as well. But yeah, I really enjoyed 7 Remake. I really did enjoy it. The music is insanely well done. It's so diverse. And they took what little they could of the 7 music they had to work with and just excelled at it. Like, so many renditions of the Let the Battles Begin and Fight On. It's maddening. Like, so many different versions. Like, there's 250 some odd goddamn sound, like, musics, like, in the damn game, just for the Midgar section. That's what kills me. And the intermission episode actually is done pretty well as well. I like that. I like how they're incorporating Dirge of Cerberus into it and trying their best to not make it shit. You know, I appreciate that, because Dirge of Cerberus is a terrible game. And I like the idea they're trying to, you know, integrate that in there. Integrate. And I like how they're trying to do that to not make it so bad. You know, I think, like, you know, Vice and Nero are more interesting than they've ever been to me in the past. And I like the idea of introducing deep ground to this in a more natural way than just saying, oh yeah, did you know that Shinra had this group of soldiers way underground for all this time and no one knew? Oh my god. You know, that kind of thing. You know, they're trying to, like, you know, balance this stuff out to make the game, they make the compilation be more natural, rather than just shit tacked on at the very end. And I think that's appreciated. I mean, hell, they mentioned Kunsel, they mentioned G-type soldiers, you know, that kind of thing. I appreciate that. So yeah, that's all the Final Fantasy games. I'm sorry if this list was way too damn long, but I had to get all my thoughts out there. You know, it's kind of crazy what my opinions are in these days. You know, it's sad that I only have one Final Fantasy game as my all-time favorite. That's kind of sad. That's kind of sad, but Dissidia is just that damn good. So, yeah, without further ado, I will see you all next time. Peace, everyone, and I hope all you guys have a great day.